把那10个人的压到一个群里。
对，就压到一个群里啊，所以。
不是10个人，他一查，只要有问题，还是能查出来。因为它上面有其实都有文件。对，你说他们错了。复合就
所以要样本。
对，它肯定是分两部，就分，所以就万一这10个里面出问题了，他要去复合一下，如果他再有问题，就得看是哪个人的，知道吧？所以说，但是还是得用这个做一个，是吧？
到现在
更来下查。
万一我上去
那儿可能会说挺奇怪的。
你要现在查出来的话，这个厅里面所有人，所有的外媒全干。
就直接外交部隔离，他就有食堂。
就直接把你们大楼。
对，
你就等着全世界的媒体报道你。
那超级不王。一战是没必要，要不是下午就去，然后明儿再来。下午去，明儿来。
这咱俩说话都得先听，我这刚一出门直接在外地了。
下周再换光水。快音乐出来。隔离结束了。回来之后，上海也有。是。上海3例，有个3例是不止3例。高风险隔离更长。现在那个特别高风险。就这个吧。 不换了，我们就还是怎么也不换了，不换了。我一听说你一直在这儿，人害怕了。还有多少次都有？
换线了，换线了。以前不是那个黄的那个？
这个黑黑的，好几个。这两天话题出来早。
不是，16。
是。我还一直看。
又看啥了？
抖音
大型。你家是？
大型。这个不应该到进去了。
对呀，你就不应该来，你变异了。
应该是多少回来？4.8。
那你人家之前是之前。
而且前个月那个小区已经升为高风险。昨儿下午5点，北京市卫健开会商量。
对是。
全面国际上，刚才我们现在说，先封很多楼，现在说是动不动就封楼，全员核酸检测。
不是他怎么得的呢？
河北传过来，那根本
传过来变异的。
不是河北那个就是英国境外的那个什
么呀？
河北那个就是最初的源头就是英国的，应该跟境外的。
不是怎么会英国的呢？
境外出入。
没办法。
跟英国那个变异是一样的。
不是，你英国回来隔离完了。
没用，现在隔离14、37根本没用。现在不是改了吗？14加7嘛，就21加7了，就又降了7天，因为现在说根本不管用，就隔离14天，
这就一个10次的时候，我看还有10个
就你看着光21天都不检查都没事，那你出去了没几天有事儿，敲机场，因为它变异了，这东西看变异它也搅坏了，然后大兴这次检测有超过6次才出来，你看这2天
这个老天在说的真是。
对啊，这2天那个。
你看看，以前的那些病毒都怕冷。
对，他妈就喜欢冷。
但是这就是首先啥也不是说信真病，就是冷场。
你看那个英国是单日昨天1000多例，超历史新高。不过跟美国比还差点，美国一天才小5000个，人家已经400万了。
他看我们深一点制裁。
制裁那几个人。那也没啥用。
有用啊。
人家 因吐口吐给淹死，打通票现在浑身臭光了，觉得他们家川普还压低那个基点。
Press conference. Questions, please. CCTV. According to reports, the UN Secretary General Guterres is seeking the second term by sending letters to the chairman of the UNGA. Do you have any comments? United Nations, as the most universal, representative, and authoritative intergovernmental international organization, has made important and irreplaceable role for promoting world peace and development over the past 7 decades or so. Now, as we are facing once-in-a-century changes and COVID-19 pandemic, the UN-centered international system is faced with serious impacts, and it is all the more important for us to uphold the multilateralism and the charters and the principles and purposes of the UN Charter at this moment, and support the core role of the UN in international affairs. Since Mr. Guterres assumed his office, he has led the UN in playing a positive role in upholding world peace and security, promoting sustainable Sustainable Development and Global Anti-Epidemic Cooperation. We applaud this. We believe Mr. Guterres is the right man for the job. We will work with the rest of the international community, continue support UN and Mr. Guterres' job, promote world peace and development, and build the community for shared future. Hubei TV. As we know, more than 400,000 Americans have died of COVID-19, and the memorial ceremony was held in Washington, D.C. Last night. As we noticed, President Biden said the U.S. is entering what may be the darkest and deadliest period of virus, and we need to strength to pull through this. What's your comments? We read these reports and we express deep condolences over the passing of these souls in the pandemic. The pandemic is a common challenge to all mankind. As President Xi pointed out on various occasions, solidarity and cooperation is the most powerful weapon to defeat COVID-19. China has launched the largest humanitarian campaign since the founding of the PRC, cooperating with all parties to enhance global anti-epidemic efforts. We have also been supporting and helping the American people as much as we can. According to statistics from Chinese authorities, from March the 1st, 2020 to January 10 this year, through exports, donations, and other channels, we have provided to the United States with 42 billion masks, 930 million pairs of surgical gloves, 780 million protective suits, 50 million pairs of goggles, 257 invasive ventilators, and 15,648 non-invasive ventilators. Chinese provinces, cities, friendly groups, non-governmental organizations, and companies also donated medical supplies to the U.S. side. With the pandemic still wreaking havoc across the world, the victory of the global fight against the virus cannot be achieved only when the virus is eliminated in all countries. China will continue enhancing COVID-19 cooperation with the international community, and we are ready to continue assisting the U.S. as much as we can in fighting the virus. Next question. 彭博社提问：美国国家安全委员会负责人称，中方对美国官员的制裁是不具有建设性的。拜登政府正在寻求和其他党派的合作，两党领导人的合作是会超过中国的。你对此有评论？ China's sanctions on these U.S. persons are a response to their wrongdoing that undermines China's sovereignty and interferes in internal affairs. It is necessary and shows our firm determination in upholding our own national interests. I have to point out that over the past years, a handful of U.S. anti-China politicians, out of political gains and bias against China, they ignore the interests of the two peoples, planned and promoted a series of crazy actions to interfere in China's internal affairs, hurt our sentiments, and undermine relations. They will pay price for this. We hope the U.S. side will work with China, follow the spirit of no conflict, no confrontation, on the basis of mutual respect and mutual benefit, move our bilateral relations to the right track of healthy and steady development. Next question. Phoenix TV. Three Chinese companies have submitted written requests to the U.S. side, the New York Stock Exchange, to reconsider their decision. What's your comment? The Chinese regulatory authority already made a response to this. The three Chinese companies have been engaged in the U.S. business regarding ADR and been listed in the New York Stock Exchange for nearly or more than 20 years. They have been widely recognized by global investors. They have followed the regulatory requirements and the rules of the stock market in the U.S. So the delisting is just decided and triggered by the U.S. Trump administration for the so-called link between the CPC and the company. So we believe this has ignored the interests of investors and disrupted rules and order of market. We firmly support these three companies in upholding their own rights and interests. Shenzhen TV. As we know, during the UPR at the Human Rights Council at UN, Chinese delegation put forward 5 propositions on Australia's human rights issue. What's your comment on this? Recently, the UN UPR working group had reviewed the human rights situation in Australia, and many representatives, including the Chinese delegates, have made their opinions and put forward advice. We advise Australia to take actions to crack down on racial discrimination, hatred speech, and violence, to secure the rights of the ethnic minorities, safeguard the rights of immigrants, and close the offshore detention center, and take a thorough probe into the war crimes of its military overseas, hold those offenders accountable, and also to eliminate the systematic racial discrimination against the indigenous people and the violence against them, to stop making false accusations against other countries based on false groundless information. We hope the Australian side will heed the opinion from the international community, face squarely their own human rights issue, improve the situation at home, and make some concrete improvements for the international human rights development course. 路透社提问。在拜登就职典礼当中，台湾的驻美代表也受邀参加了。中方对此有何评论？中国驻美大使是否收到邀请出席拜登的就职典礼？ You mentioned de facto ambassador, but in fact, she is just Taiwan's representative to the U.S. We firmly oppose any official ties between the U.S. and Taiwan. This is consistent and clear. We urge U.S. to abide by the One China principle and the 3 joint communiques, properly and prudentially handle Taiwan-related issues so as to avoid harming our bilateral relations and cross-strait stability and peace. In fact, China has also received the invitation for attendance at the inauguration ceremony. We already expressed congratulations to President Biden. The Constitutional Court of Central African Republic announced the result of the presidential election. Candidate of Movement United Hearts and incumbent president won the election. What's your response? We noted this and we congratulate President Touadéra on his re-election. We believe under his leadership, the Central African Republic government and people will achieve new results and progress in peaceful rebuilding and national development. CAR is China's good friend, partner, and brother in Africa. We will work to consolidate our friendship, mutual trust, promote mutually beneficial cooperation, and elevate our bilateral relations to a higher level. 据报道称，推特关闭了 中国驻美使馆的账户。因为这个账户提到了一些反人类的问题，主要是针对涉疆维族人的这个一些言论。你对此有何评论？We noted that restrictions imposed on the embassy's Twitter by the Twitter company. There are also some comments online. We are concerned about this. You may have noted that there are numerous conspiracy theories and disinformation on social media, and the United States falls a victim to this. This has direct and negative impact. China is also a victim of this. There are numerous reports and information related to Xinjiang against China. It's a responsibility for our embassy in the U.S. to clarify the truth. So we are really confused why Twitter banned the account of the embassy based on this. We don't hope they will apply double standards on this issue. We hope they can discriminate, make some to tell the right and truth from disinformation on this matter. Could you turn on your microphone? Could you give us a detailed list of the 28 U.S. persons on the sanction list? China has announced we will sanction 28 persons who have seriously violated Chinese sovereignty. We already named a few. I believe those who fall under this category know that very well. NHK. President Biden is officially sworn in today. Does China have anything to say for China-U.S. relations going forward? Biden signed several executive orders, including U.S. return to Paris agreements. And do you have any comments? We express congratulations to the inauguration of President Biden. I've been watching CNN. I noted many U.S. media say this is a new day in America. And I also saw the firecrackers and the very warm atmosphere at the ceremony. After traveling an extraordinary period, we believe China and the U.S., our two peoples, deserve to embrace a better future. We also hope Biden will be successful in governance. I noticed the word unity has been mentioned several times in his inauguration speech. This is what is urgently needed in our bilateral relations. Over the past 4 years, a handful of U.S. politicians have made so many lies and incited so much hatred and division. And the Chinese and American have fallen victim to this. We many people in the two countries and in the international community hope we can bring the bilateral relations to the right track and make contributions to solving urgent major problems in the world. We have different social systems, development stage, and historical culture. It's only natural for us to have differences. Just as Biden said, democracy should allow the right to dissent, and disagreement must not lead to disunion. This should also be true to international relations. Countries with different ideologies, social systems, cultures can live in harmony and achieve the goal of common development and peace and development for the world. Biden also mentioned Americans have much to heal, much to restore. This is also the same to China-U.S. relations. In the past 4 years, the U.S. administration, especially Pompeo, have laid too many mines to be removed and burned so many bridges that need to be rebuilt and so many roads need to be restored. The two sides should show courage and wisdom. We need to heed and listen to each other with respect. This is the joint responsibility of our two countries and also the aspiration of the international community. We believe the better angels in China-U.S. relations will surely defeat the evil forces. As to the executive orders signed by President Biden, which starts U.S. return to Paris Agreement and WHO, we welcome U.S. rejoining Paris Agreement and looks forward to contributions to climate change by the U.S. side. The Paris Agreement is an outcome for multilateralism, and it is part of the implementation for the UNFCCC and also an important legal guidance for our response to post-2022 climate change response. We hope the international community and the U.S. will work together to improve the effective implementation and to build the fair global governance system for the green development and recovery. We know that WHO has played an important coordinating and leading role in international public health. We always support WHO's work. We welcome U.S. return to WHO, and we also hope we can work with the U.S. and other parties to strengthen cooperation in the epidemic response. 这对于中美关系未来的走向，可能是一个很好的总结。Turn on your microphone.
That was very positive summary.
这是个非常积极的评价，您刚才说的这些。但是不能忽视的是，拜登在上任的第一天，他邀请了台湾的代表来参加他的就职仪式。中方对此有何回应？ I believe you all know the importance of China-U.S. relations is self-evident, but in the past few years, the Trump administration, represented by Pompeo, took wrong measures and strategies to harm China's interests, leading to difficulties in our bilateral relations. This runs counter to the interests and aspiration of the two peoples. In fact, this is the last thing we want to see, and it is the same for many other countries, because they hope that China and the U.S. as two major forces and the permanent members of the UN security, they hope to see these two countries can cooperate This is more comfortable for them to see. And we always stress that we will follow the spirit of mutual respect, mutual benefit, no conflict and non-confrontation to strengthen cooperation and manage our differences. We hope the U.S. side will meet China halfway. We believe as long as we work in good faith and listen to each other, respect facts, we believe the China-U.S. relations boasts infinite potential. But in the meantime, for any actions that undermine our sovereignty and interests, we will take firm measures to fight back. Such position cannot be more clear. Next question. Kyoto News. My question is about China-Indian border issue. Recently, NDTD, an Indian news reported that China built new villages in Arunachal Pradesh according to satellite photos acquired by the media. And some comments say parts of this region are under China's actual control long ago. What's your comment? China's position on the Zanan region is consistent and clear. We never recognize the so-called Arunachal Pradesh, and China's development and construction activities within our own territory is normal, and this is beyond reproach as it is in our own territory. Any more question?中国是否会派出代表团和拜登政府会面？ I have no information to offer at this moment. Any more questions? If there's no more question, this is the end for today. Thank you for coming.